did. And we're going to have to wrap this up. Unfortunately, and I have so many questions for you, but I did want to ask you about politics just a little bit, which we try not to ever talk too much about on this show. Just because, you're hearing it elsewhere. You don't need it from us. But I do see that you're pretty outspoken politically on Twitter. Yeah. You're not worried about, I always think of those book-loving, really empathetic Trump supporters that would come read your book. But now you've said that you're pro Pod Save America, you're pro Elizabeth Warren and all that stuff. And do you worry about dividing your audience?
No, I don't. I mean, maybe I should think about that more, but just this moment that we're living in America, I do think when you mention the empathetic Trump supporters, I know they're out there. You're absolutely right, of course. But in a way, I think my focus and outspokenness about politics is because this moment, I think, has transcended politics and has gotten to, for me, basic ideas of empathy and decency. And of course, because we're all in our misinformation chambers, it's easy to be like, it's easy to even be, right. So I'm a left-leaning person, but it's easy to be a right-leaning person, I guess, and then look at people who are Democrats or blue and be like, well, they have no empathy. But that said, I just don't think that's the case. When we have the things in the news that are happening of families being separated, executive orders discriminating against trans people, no trans people in the military. Again and again, we have all these things where it just feels like, no, like this goes to the core of decency, empathy. And so that's really what motivates me. And I feel like that's more important. And I also feel like people who read books, are people who are engaging in the act of empathy every day. So I would think, and hope that, me talking about politics or whoever's talking about politics isn't necessarily going to turn them off. And will only make them more curious, maybe, I don't know, to read more or just, I don't know, just to go into an empathetic place and think about their own views or what they've been taught to think about these things. I'm kind of rambling because I haven't got to talk about this, but I really like this question. Bottom line is I just think we're at a moment where politics have taken a backseat in my mind to just like overall empathy and decency towards your fellow humans. And when I see the policies coming from the White House that are just simply not that, and the GOP Senate supporting those policies, I just feel like, well, this is not just about politics. This is about, we really need to come together, and we can have disagreements about things, but let's at least treat each other all like human beings. And I think there's nothing more important than that. Also, the fact that I feel like it's a genuinely dangerous time for democracy, and it feels like democracy could, as we know it, could no longer exist, which would then mean we're looking at even more blows to empathy in America, and even more discrimination, even more oppression. So it's all connected, and I feel like when I'm writing books, I'm trying to make people think and trying to make people maybe want to be kinder to each other, or maybe think about what it means to be a human being. And when I talk about politics, it's the same thing.
Something that I personally struggle with, because I get to wait. I go through these highs and lows of I'm so angry, I'm apathetic, there is no hope, it's all over. Right. And then I think, well, who are these people out there? They're like kids in cages. Cool. Sex with a porn star, that lines up with my evangelical Christian values. No problem. Right. Wait a minute. A tweet from the middle grade ninja. Hold on. Let me rethink things. Exactly. And then I wonder, am I doing something productive, or am I just exposing myself to trouble without really moving the needle? On the other hand, you don't want to just, where were you when Nazism happened in America? Oh, I stood by and watched it happen.
Exactly. No, it's such a tricky tightrope, but I think at the end of the day, I think the latter that you just mentioned wins out for me. It's like, how can we not be talking about these things? And I specifically don't. I try and keep it positive and productive. The first year after our president was elected, 2017, there's like all tweets about him. but now I do feel like I don't. I generally avoid talking about him at all. I just think that just feeds his ego. That feeds him. I'd rather just think about his policies, think about what's happening, and try and take a positive spin on helping inform people and activate people to try and do what they can and be aware of what's happening in the country without just being like, well, president did this, president did that. Wow, how was such a terrible person elected? Like I'm past that, because it's like that's happening. That's a reality. Let's not give that more oxygen, but let's try and think what we can do in this moment to be kind to each other, to try and elect new people, to support organizations that are doing great work, to help these families that have been separated. Whatever the case may be, just trying to use whatever limited platform I have, limited audience I have, to maybe create ripple effects where people will think about something that they didn't know was happening or want to take some action on their own.
Another serious political question. Lance Rubin, have you ever seen a flying saucer? Do you believe in them?
I have not seen one. But yeah, I think I do. I think I do believe in them, actually. And I think in the past year, there have been these like different sightings by the military where they're like, we really don't know what this is. Where that's, that goes a long way toward building credibility in my mind. Like, yeah, there's something maybe going on. There's some stuff flying around. Maybe.
That's why I get frustrated. People aren't more political. Oh my God, let's find out what they got.
Right.
Ignore the tweets. Let's talk. The Pentagon came out and said they have materials from flying saucer. What do you have?
Right.
Show us.
Please reveal the content.
They have the cure for cancer. Why are you sitting on it?
Yeah. Flying saucer delivered everything we need to achieve world peace and cure cancer. Yeah. So yeah, do you?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Which is why I asked. I think people probably get tired of me talking about I don't believe everything. I mean, obviously, it's sort of one of those things like it's like religion where you can't know all the unknowns at this point. So there's a lot of people out there filling it in with whatever they want.
Right.
I'm not with them. But in terms of just like, is there a credible case at this point that there is flying saucers or there are flying saucers in the air that at least some government agencies know about them and are keeping them secret? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's no question. They've come out. They've said it. It's on record.
Yeah.
The paperwork alone is one of those things that I marvel at. That half the men that went to the moon came out later and went on record that yes, the government knows about flying saucers. And it's one of those things where I always wonder: is that a story about a government conspiracy, or is that a story about how sad it is to be an astronaut post heyday and nobody's paying attention until you say the alien thing? Either way, it's fascinating.
That's funny. Yeah. Both rich, both very rich scenarios.
Either way, it'd be a fascinating book. I'm reading that one.
Yeah.
Practical question, and I gotta go be a dad, so we gotta call it a day. Kids ruin everything.
Oh, yeah, indeed.
Just take. What are you gonna give?
Wait for that moment too. Yeah.
But if there was one thing that you could go back and tell young Lance about writing, about life, or both, something that would have made a significant difference, that might make a difference for all the writers listening now, what would that thing be?
I think it would be keep making things without being afraid that they will fail or be bad. I am a perfectionist. I was then. I'm learning to work with that perfectionism and kind of push it away because it's so unhelpful. But yeah, I think if younger me could hear that, that would be a helpful kick in the pants, because I think it's very easy to feel like, oh, I need this to be amazing, or like I want this to be so good. So then you make nothing, And I think it's so much better. You just learn so much, everything you make, and you learn way more from failure than success. So I would encourage younger me to fail as much as possible. And to obviously feel the rejection and pain of failing, but also to know that it's a good thing. You want to chuck up all those failures, because it's only going to make you a better person, artist, everything.
I had a professor that used to say, fail forward fast. Get it out of the way, get to it.
Yes, well said.